Okay, so this fine gentleman we're looking at is Mr. John Morley. John has interacted with me courtesy of the comment section of my videos. We did have a chat on Skype last week. Unfortunately, I had some technical difficulties, being a bit of an idiot, and that conversation wasn't recorded, so I was going to put it on the channel, but I lost everything we had in the conversation. But not to worry, I've bumped into John today, and we'll cover a bit of what we was going to discuss in the chat that we had, which was namely, well, you want to go over it, John, what we spoke about and what you want to cover and what those papers are?
Oh, these papers are relating to an ASBO. We've already had the first two interim hearings for this. It's in place. There's a full hearing on the 4th of July this year at Doncaster. It's actually the Magistrates' Court is the building, but technically it's the District Court, I think. This ASBO is ridiculous. When we look at the conditions, you see the same nebulous wording that you see, if I can just pull it up, the same kind of nonsense you see in a lot of recent laws where they talk about things that are likely to stir up racial hatred or express racial or religious hatred. This kind of thing. So to interpret what they really mean by all these prohibitions, we have to look at the examples they've given of his antisocial behaviour in the past. I've already really focused in on one egregious example within the 9 items that they've listed, because I really think it shows their hand. South Yorkshire Police, don't forget, have applied for this ASBO. And item 5 on his schedule of behaviour is giving a speech at Rotherham, where he holds up a book called Easy Meat, which I recommend people buy.
Peter McLaughlin, yeah.
And he encourages people to buy a copy of the book, and he tells people what it says in the book. And chiefly, he's talking about corruption amongst senior police officers. Also other parts of the establishment as well, but I mean that's mainly what that speech is about. Doesn't mention Islam at any point, doesn't mention Muslims at any point, and yet in order to explain why South Yorkshire Police think it's so illegal for a man to stand up and tell everybody about the corruption of South Yorkshire Police, is because they've described it as anti-Islamic in nature. Anti-Islamic in nature, doesn't mention Islam, just mentions police collusion. Angry tone, as I've mentioned in another video, it's not illegal to speak in an angry tone, and it would be unnatural not to speak in an angry tone considering what he's speaking about.
Amazing, isn't it? They're classing their tone policing, literally tone policing. Beyond parody.
They've heard that speech. The police officer that's heard that speech has gone, whoa, illegal. It's illegal for them to stand up and tell people what the government have already been forced to admit in the jail reports. Ridiculous. And there's other items in here. Two of the 9 items are him sending letters to bishops in the Church of England. And when the secretaries of these bishops get these letters, they then seize upon them, they call the police. There's really no point at this point in lobbying your MPs and lobbying your bishops. They already know. They already know how dangerous it is. That is why they are working so hard to show that they're on the right side, that they are not on the side that they're afraid of. They're not fighting against the side that they're afraid of. His case is one of thousands, I'm sure. We know of other people in all kinds of ridiculous cases around the same time. But this case, that item that I've just described to you, I mean, that's just ridiculous. There's another item, it's in his criminal history, which is in this long body of documents, but not in his 9 items. But there's another incident, I think it's not in his 9 items, where he shouts Nazi scum from inside a car across a line of police officers to a crowd of Antifa. Now, what he's been prosecuted with in that instance, or what they've tried to prosecute him with in that instance, I think they have actually successfully that instance. The police have decided that this enormous crowd of Antifa have a reasonable reason to fear for either their life or for being harmed from this guy shouting out of a car on the other side of a police line. They shout things like that to us. They're not getting arrested. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the good old two-tier policing and political policing, isn't it? Essentially, I'm going to say the word persecuting because I think it is persecution. I believe they're persecuting this guy for basically having the wrong opinion. So being EDL affiliated, being openly critical and vocal of Islam, and being openly critical of multiculturalism and other far-left orthodoxies. The police have taken it upon themselves to limit the man's freedoms and essentially police what he can say and what he can do and where he can be. There's also a bit relating to flags, isn't there? What flags he can display?
Oh yes. They won't even. I have actually pointed out to the judge that, hang on a minute, you haven't even ruled out concrete flags in his pavement. What if he possesses concrete? The judge refused to even rule out concrete flags. So he's got an England flag flying in his back garden, and as far as I can see, looking at the wording of his injunction, it's about the only thing that you can see is definitely barred from the ASBO. I think when they wrote it into the ASBO, it seemed like a pretty good idea. Yeah, we'll arrest him for that. We've arrested lots of other people for stupid reasons like that. But when it's put to them, oh, he's got a flag there, are you really going to arrest him for it? I hope that they're going to see that they need to order a variation on the ASBO for that at the very least.
Yeah.
They need to knock that off the ASBO, or they need to arrest him for an England flag in his garden, which I think in the current climate, given there's been a couple of other incidents like this that have gone viral, I think, can they be that stupid? Can they? Maybe.
Well, that's a state of affairs, unfortunately.
The first speech he got fined for. I mean, this is the reason why they've told him, because he gives speeches.
What's the time frame for this? Sorry, just for everyone listening. How long have they been pursuing these draconian measures against him?
For him, at least early March 2015 we started. That's one incident. The earliest incident on his 9 items is from then. And I was stood there at the time. One of the things they're angry about is he was saying it's not illegal to burn the Quran. He's holding up the Quran. I'm in the audience. You can see my arm waving a cigarette lighter. Nobody that day realised that within a couple of weeks that man would have to pay £1,000. He'd get charged and then subsequently have to pay £1,060 in charges. The most recent incident makes him sound really violent. KFC. He was having an argument with his wife at KFC about immigration and Islam taking over. She left, she walked out, other people started having a go at him. It's like, pipe down, shut up. And he got up, and admittedly he'd had a pint, and he said, it's my own fucking country, I've got a right to say what I want in my own country.
Yeah.
With that, things got really nasty. An undercover police officer grappled with him, put him in an arm lock over the counter, and then, according to the police version of events, then he got aggressive. I'd like to see how. I'd like it if I could get the prosecution barrister in an arm lock, bent over a bit of furniture in the courtroom, and then he can show us in what way the guy could have been aggressive. I've seen other people far more boisterous than that in KFC and the likes, without undercover cops popping out the woodwork, wrestling them to the ground and whatnot. You know, it's just ridiculous. You know, if anything, he's the one getting accosted there for no good reason. Maybe he should have picked up his food and got out the minute, you know, it started. But apart from that, no. You know, it's just ridiculous.
Okay, well, we won't drag it on too long. My battery is about to die. Yeah. But before we wrap up, do you want to just tell the people about your EDL hat? In case I'm sure one or two are wondering.
I wear it for a reason. I want to try and destigmatise this. There's a famous experiment somebody once did where they had this test that was a 100% guaranteed test that you'd always pass, where you have 3 bars, different lengths, and you have 1 bar on another piece of paper, and you're asked which one is it the same as, A, B or C, and you get 100%, everybody always gets it right. They test 18 people one at a time, where they've got 8 people in the room saying the wrong answer, saying A where the answer is C, and 12 out of the 18 people picked the wrong answer because of what everybody else says. Somebody else came up with something called the Confederate test a few years later, where they have 1 Confederate in the room who comes up with the correct answer. So you've got 7 people saying the wrong answer, 1 person saying the correct answer. That reduces conformity, that error that I've just spoken about, which is 66% conformity in an easy peasy test, worse in something difficult to tell, like is Islam peaceful or not. That conformity reduced by 80% by adding 1 Confederate. You only need 1 guy walking around with this EDL hat, and it's the same effect from the psychologist's point of view as the Confederate test.
Okay.
It reduces conformity through peer pressure, informational bias.
Well, that's quite a detailed and surprisingly scientific explanation there.
I went too far into that.
No, it's a detailed explanation. Anyway, John, good to meet you, and thanks for speaking to me. And I will be doing another video in a bit more detail regarding the frankly absurd conditions and restrictions in relation to the ASBO that we've discussed today. I've taken a couple of pictures of the paperwork that John's got, and I'll go through some of the details, and they're absolutely ridiculous. But that will be done at a later time. So thank you.